Hello, welcome to A Little Room for Healing, where we talk a little bit about healing, then we do a little healing, and then we talk a little bit more. Today, I have with me my friend Brandon, and we're gonna chat a little bit. How you doing, Brandon?
I'm doing pretty good.
Awesome.
How are you, Joel?
I'm doing pretty good too. Thank you. Thanks for coming in. Let's start with some check-ins. Let's check in with how we are feeling right now.
Well, what's on top is I'm feeling a little bit anxious. This is the first time that I've been interviewed for a podcast before. I can feel the parts of me that are alive right now that are needing me to get something right here, needing me to show up in a certain way that I am holding over here gently and gingerly. I'm also noticing that this already feels different. Like, this feels different than having a conversation with you normally because of all the equipment and knowing that I'm recorded. Like, I'm sensing like that I can feel I'm not trying to do this, but there's like a performativeness that's coming through that I don't want to be coming through, but it's here. Yeah, like the part of me that's an actor and wants to perform and also wants to like give you good material.
I appreciate that.
So that's on top. Otherwise, I'm feeling quite spacious, optimistic lately. And yeah, really curious about the energy work we're going to do later, since it'll be my first time receiving that from you. A part of me feeling like that's that it's like right timing, that something's been waiting for this moment to come to the surface, to be made available to the yeah.
I want to hear more about that right timing after my check-in.
Okay.
Are you finished with your check-in?
I think I'll add one more thing that's been alive for me today is I've been especially because right now we are engaging with Joel's creative output, something that is purely genuinely from Joel's source ship that I've been working on recovering my creative energy, my source ship. That's the word I've been using lately, is source ship. And I've been designing, it's not quite the right word, but a series for a community of practice that I am involved with. And it's been a real struggle being with all the feelings coming up. It's been really humbling. And so I was working on the invitation this morning, and it was just like, just like this conflict between this part that needs to make me small and is judging everything, and then another part coming in that needs to like prove something, and it's fucking dizzying. So I'm kind of like also I feel like I'm still recovering from being in the this like the cyclone of those parts being at odds with one another. Yeah, so that's here as well.
Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
Okay, let me do a little check-in here. Let's see. I'm feeling, after hearing your check-in, I actually feel calmer. Just getting into talking and connecting with your energy better. I'm feeling excited to hear to see what comes up between us. And I actually feel very relaxed right now, and that feels really good. Yeah, that's where I am right now. So I'm curious, Brandon, about how the timing feels right for this.
I want to answer that question, but it's not right timing for that question. Only because there's something else that's here right now that I'm just like,
Sure.
sort of, it's just like, it's just kind of like like this appreciation and joy for like you're doing this, that you're doing this, and it's just like really beautiful to feel you in something that you're creating and feel excited about, and feels like, for me, feels like it's very right, like very right for you to be doing this. So I'm just like, oh yeah, in the glow of that right now.
Oh, thank you so much. That feels really good to hear.
Yeah.
This whole process has felt really, really right. Like, to use your words, it does feel right. It feels really, that's why I feel relaxed. I feel relaxed in it. I feel really calm and comfortable in this situation of talking to people and hearing them and hearing their stories and asking questions, and then being able to do energy work that I love to do on them. It's just, the combo is incredible for me.
It's helping me to relax as well. Yeah.
I love that. That makes me happy. Okay.
Yeah, we can go back to the.
Yeah, I was about to go back to it, but I wasn't sure if it was the right time or not.
Yeah, when I said that earlier, I didn't really know exactly. I didn't have like a reason. It's more of a feeling, but well, actually, there is one thing, like a very superficial thing, where all this morning I've had some pain in my shoulder blade that I have not, like, it's new pain, and I came up with a story that's like, oh, this my body knows that there's going to be this healing opportunity today, energy healing opportunity. So like this new thing's coming to the surface to let me know that, like, that's, so it feels, the right timing feels much deeper than that, but that was just like a signal today that I kind of put some meaning around. And otherwise, I think also, like, there's just been a shift in my like I've been reorienting to what it means to do my healing work, or what tools make sense for me. I've been getting some clarity around my relationship with tools that I've been using in the past, and also like the capacity that I have to be my own instrument of healing. And yeah, just feeling like I'm in this like sort of wide open period of experimentation. I don't know. I feel like I'm overthinking it a little bit here.
I'm curious what, if you could explain a little bit what tools you may have been using in the past that may no longer serve you. Is that what I was getting from you? And how that's shifted into what you are working with now.
So for the past few years, I've been working intensively with various psychedelic plant medicines, and they have helped me go really deep and have I would say saved me in many ways, and helped me to understand myself in new ways. Along with that, however, I've been seeing how the use of those medicines has been playing into my addiction to intensity, just my addiction to states that are not like this state, basically.
And by this state, you mean?
I mean
day-to-day life.
Yes.
Some call it 3D, the 3D world.
Yes. Yeah, non-altered. Non-altered.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. And yeah, I wouldn't say that the medicine isn't serving me anymore. I feel like even the knowing that it's not right timing to actually put the medicine into my body is still a relationship. Like I'm getting that message also from the medicine itself. It
That
feels
makes
like.
sense.
And so yeah, and also because it feels like I'm at the end of a arc in my journey where it seems like the medicines have been one of the major things that they've been trying to show me is how to work with my somatic experience to access trauma and to learn how to work with movement and that for a long time I thought that I could only access those states or those experiences of sensations unfolding in my body and bringing me to insights or clarity around my wounding and just who I am. And I could see I can see now how the medicine has basically just been like training wheels trying to show me that I can actually do this on my own. The medicine was just helping me to see how to do it, and now it seems like the medicine. I wasn't getting any further. It was like I kept being shown, no, you just got to do this, you just got to do this, you got to do this, and I wasn't getting the message. I just kept going back. And the last time I journeyed, I just got a clear message that it's time to take the training wheels off and to practice doing what I've been doing in journey space by myself, or without medicine at least. Yeah.
Part of what I was hearing in that was that you had big intense experiences on these medicines, and that was something that you were feeling at the time needed in order to do your healing. And now with this new message of the new message of take the training wheels off, that you are more able to work on your healing in more of a subtle realm. Is that fair to say?
Yes. Yeah. I've been also able to see how the going into the intense experiences, as much information as they were giving me was at the same time drowning out the subtler information, the subtler sensations that were happening. And my returning to the intense experiences and chasing that was like resistance to being with the deeper things that are there. And and I can see that a big part of the work and my work now is to build capacity so that I can be with the subtler things going on as they unfold.
What is an example of something in the subtler realm of healing for you? Like, can you give us an example of something that you might be feeling or something you're working with that is coming up in that way?
So lately I've been working with a sensation that's been showing up on my lower ribs. It's not a super subtle sensation, but nor is it a intense sensation. I've been giving space to it, basically, spending time with the sensation and witnessing it. Like my goal has been to be with this sensation from a place where my nervous system is relaxed so that it can feel safe to unfold, compared to, let's say, jumping to a more intense experience that would make my nervous system more tense, that wouldn't give space to the subtler thing to come out. So as I sit with the sensation, I can feel it start to move, to sort of dance in my system. It will often ask my body to move in a certain way. It can turn into some sort of dance, not necessarily a dance in a conventional way as you might imagine, but my body definitely feels like it's dancing something. And emotional material will often come up as the sensation moves around. And sometimes the sensation will end up just kind of dispersing.
Have you learned anything about where in this process of feeling all those things? Have you learned anything about where this sensation originates from, or how it came to be?
This one I'm not quite sure about. And that's kind of been one of my I guess ways that I've been reorienting to my work is like not needing to necessarily know what the story is or where it's coming from, and just seeing it as like that my body is this vessel for this energy that needs to move, and it has nothing to really do with me. Nothing to really do with me. Yeah, I'm hesitating because like I acknowledge that this is like a very new orientation to me, and like I kind of want to go into the whole story, and although I don't know the story of this, or to go into stories of my sensations, but then it takes me out of the sensation, and
Oh, interesting.
yeah, like I feel like it takes me out of the work. Like there's this need to know is actually almost like this trickster that's taking me out of the actual healing work in some way. Yeah.
You're now orienting more towards just the somatics of it instead of the psychology of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I totally appreciate that. As I learn more about somatics myself, and just being with the feeling and knowing that you really, just like you said, you don't need to know the story. There's a feeling there. Feel it. Let it express. Let it sound off what it wants to sound off, in whatever physical way it wants to, and let it move. And that's really all we need to do to get it back into alignment, and to let it flow back into our energy flow. We don't always need to know the story.
Yeah.
What happened.
And sometimes the story is helpful. Right?
I can't deny it. You're right.
So it's like, it's the question of like, to what extent am I identifying with that story and getting stuck in like, I am this way because of this story, and oh my God, like, that it can get me into cycles of self-pity, and then sort of like almost reknots the thing, or creates a new knot or something. So yeah, so I think I'm in a place where I'm needing to swing the pendulum to letting go of story to the extent that I can, and possibly allowing that back in at some point.
Oh, that's really great. That's really great. I kind of like the idea of listening to the body, and if it wants to tell you, if it feels like it needs to tell you the story, it'll tell you the story.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I feel that it's a very different feeling when I get that story. It's just like this, like it's just like this thing, this picture just unfolds before my eyes. Yeah. Something was just revealed to me last week about why I am the way I am. That kind of was revealed to me that way, through, well, yeah, I guess sensation was involved, but also a conversation with my brother, versus the like, okay, here's a sensation. Oh, what makes what where this is in my body? Oh, it's in this part of my body. That is near this chakra. So it must be about this, and like trying to make sense of it in that way. Yeah. Which may be right, but very well may not be, and probably has much more complexity to it than what I'm gathering through my associations. So yeah, and it just feels so good to get hit with that, like the clarity of the embodied knowing, like of my actual body telling me what it's about. showing me what it's about.
What's the difference between that and being thrust into an intense experience that just makes that is doing something and is helping in its way, but you're kind of not in the ease. Oh man, it feels like in the intense experience you're not really with the nuances of how things are playing out. And I'm wondering what in your feelings and experiences the difference is. Like, how did an intense experience play out for you?
I'm struggling with the answer here because, like, sometimes the intense experience, like, is the thing that I needed. Like, it's not like something will unfold and then I'll feel intense grief or intense anger, and that is the process that my body was needing, it seems like. Versus so I have a story that my system has had very messy boundaries, and this is how I relate to I don't know if this is true, but this is how I think my system has worked, that I've had very messy boundaries and haven't been able to I hadn't been able to recognize easily the difference between what are my feelings that need to be felt for Brandon's healing versus feelings that belong to someone else, or feelings that are just in the field, that are just kind of floating around, and that my body, being a very open system, will allow in and get confused and believe that they are mine. And so I can see how in many occasions me going into an intense emotional experience, it feels like I'm doing this deep work for myself, but I'm actually indulging in something that is not mine to avoid the subtler things that are actually mine to do. So it's like, yeah, I'm being tricked into this deep this deep work that maybe is doing something, like it might also be doing something important for someone else or for the collective, or right. I don't know, but it's drawing me out of like the subtler things in me. And one of the ways it manifests is as like going into this grief that it feels like grief, but it's actually self-pity. And I'm seeing how that is not the work, that is a distraction from the work. And it's like going into the intense experience makes my system tense up. Like it uses it up, it fries it so that it can't sense the subtler things underneath. It's like a way to it's almost like a drug that just drowns it out. I feel like I've said that already. There's something else I'm trying to hit here, but I'm not quite hitting it.
It's almost like whatever the thing is that's deflecting you from your personal work into these things that aren't yours to do is working right now to try to prevent you from explaining it.
Yeah.
I was getting it. I feel like I was getting it. And the thing that stuck out to me the most is the question. You said that there is self-pity in there masquerading as grief.
Yeah.
What is, but you're saying that's not the work.
Yeah.
I don't know if I quite understand why working on the pity isn't the work, or it be feeling like grief just is not quite the work. Can you explain that to me?
So recognizing that there's self-pity and um, and working towards a place where I'm not pitying myself, I guess, is the work. But what happens is that I get sucked into the pity, and then that's what I'm experiencing. I'm just like feeling this I'm crying, but it's really about like this woe is me kind of tears versus like actually feeling the grief of the thing that happened to me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's the that kind of feels like in a way a relationship in relation to how you said earlier that you were have this addiction to the intense experience. So there might be like the same kind of draw to being in that self-pity.
Yes. Yes.
Interesting.
Exactly. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Can you recognize it while you're in it and get out of it?
Now I can, but it's relatively recent that I've been able to have that discernment.
Hmm.
Yeah.
How do you get out of it?
It's more like I don't go into it, or
Hmm.
okay, let's see. It's more. Yeah, I mean that's one thing is that that's one pathway is that I don't go into it. Like I'll catch it before I allow myself to just like. I know we're on radio here, so audio. So I'm doing a gesture.
That was great. I think they got it.
Yeah. To merge with it, to collapse into that frequency or something of the pity, or I will. Yeah, what I've been doing is when I start to go into especially tears, I will make sure that I don't just fall into the tears unconsciously, that I'll like be with the tears, I'm feeling them, and then sort of step out of myself and sort of be like, what are these tears about? Is this actually, and use my body like to sense, oh yeah, so this was a key revelation that I had, was like, I don't think this is always going to be the case, or it's more so that I still don't have the subtle sensing enough to always be always able to identify this. But an insight that I had recently was that if I'm having an intense emotional experience that did not seem to unfold from some sort of somatic experience, then it's probably not mine, or it's probably not something that I actually need to spend energy on having emotions around. Like the pity is not going to come from, it's like this external thing. It's like my mother pitying me, and I'm just like embodying that because I experienced a lot of pity from my mother instead of like actual love.
Yeah.
And versus like real grief, there's gonna be some sort of somatic experience that's associated with it, or that it came out of, or that I can track it back to. I think this is still sort of a working hypothesis.
I see where you're going with it.
Yeah.
I like it, and it relates back to what you're saying earlier about letting the body, feeling the body and letting it do its thing. And if it wants to tell you the story, it's going to tell you the story. And letting the body kind of guide you on your healing.
Yeah.
Yeah. If the self-pity, if you're not feeling something connected through your body, I see how the body's like, what are we doing? What's going on?
It's almost like, so I have a history of acting, stage acting, when I was younger, and it's almost like if that if I'm like accessing an emotion from my character, that like it might seem like I'm actually processing something, but it's I'm taking it from the outside. Now that I say that, because I guess it's also possible to actually access one's that like maybe an actor could actually process their real feelings through a character. I guess that's also true now that I come to think of it.
But when you said that,
Yeah.
I was getting I also have a history of acting, and a history of acting, it sounds like some sort of sickness. I have a history of acting. But when you were saying that, it's like, oh yes, I can recall times when I was playing a role and I was in it, and when I was really in it, I was actually connected to something in myself that was coming through via the character. And then when I wasn't fully in it, I was accessing something that wasn't coming through my body.
Yeah. And so, this is great. So like, it's almost like when I'm in my emotional process now, I'm like, am I being a good actor or a bad actor? Does this feel like good acting or bad acting?
Yeah. Is this real grief or is this self-pity?
Yeah, and that's just bringing up, like, I can see the part of me that likes to be, that needs to be big, that needs to express emotions in a big way because he's looking for attention. He's looking for attention, the attention that I hadn't been giving to him. It's like the subtler voices screaming, like, look at me, but those are just the voices and not the actual thing underneath, right? Yeah.
Now what is coming up for me is it makes me want to give you some attention. Would you like to step out and do some energy healing?
I would love that.
Is there an intention that you'd like to put into this session?
Do you have any guidance on intentions that make sense for this type of work, or should I just use my intuition? My usual.
It feels like go with your intuition.
Okay. I'm just touching some grief right now as I feel into this. It's interesting. Actually feels more like fear. Not fear of what we're about to do. Some old fear. Well, I guess 3 things are alive. The most superficial is desire to give attention to the pain that I'm having in my shoulder blade. Giving it what it needs. Feeling open to its story if it desires to tell me its story. I'm also very much in, like I mentioned in the opening, the check-in, this tension between the part that needs to be small, and this is something that I recognize, that I learned last week, and about my dynamic with my father, that a part of me needs to remain small in relation to him, to protect him, and has kept me out of abundance in my life, that it's sucking all this energy, life force from me. And at the same time, the part of me that needs to prove something, that needs to like compete with my dad in a way, almost, not just with my dad. So I think what I'm getting at is like, I am ready to let go of this codependent pattern with my father, like let go of my father let go of needing my father, and let go of taking care of him, protecting him. I'm desiring to open a flow of abundance into my life. It feels like that's where a major block is to creative abundance, financial abundance. It's even uncomfortable for me to say financial abundance. Like, that's a bad word. It's like this as I said it, there was like a twisting in my belly. Like, how could you ask for that? You're gonna lose your father or something. Like,
oh wow.
It's like fear of like, yeah. As much as he wants me as well, on the surface, to be financially stable and to, be happy in that way.
Sure.
It's just this unconscious thing that's happening.
Yeah, there's still that feeling that comes up in you when you say it. So that's there.
Yeah.
We can't ignore that.
Yeah. Oh, I'm also just seeing like, yeah, that how my success would just also put a mirror up to, like, my actualization would put a mirror up to him and how he hasn't been able to actualize, and that's scary too. Like this fear of hurting my dad in that way by like upstaging him or something.
Mm.
Oof. Yeah. Okay. That's good.
All right.
Yeah.
Ready?
Yeah.
All right. We'll be back after Brandon's 13th octave La Ho Chi session. And we're back from Brandon's energy healing session. You want to do another check-in about how you're doing now, or do you feel like just talking about what happened?
Yeah, I think I was going to naturally share just what my state is, because I'm even, yeah, as I'm speaking right now, I notice a very different quality about my voice and the way it's resonating in my chest.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, I feel like it's either there's like something added, that there's something in me extra, or something has been removed from me.
Oh, so you're either been filled with something or you have more space.
Yeah, but if I'm filled with something, it's making more space, but not filled with something. Not filled with something. The metaphor is coming up of like a stent. Like a stent's been put in me.
Ah.
Yeah.
It's just expanding you to create more space.
Yeah, yes. There you go. Stent. Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is a great one. That's a great metaphor.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense.
Yes, I was hoping some puns would come in today. Thank you. Brandon and I often go into loops of puns together, and that was the first pun of the day. I'm excited about it.
It was surgically placed.
Yeah.
That stent pun.
Yes, it was.
But yeah, it feels like I had some surgery and had a stent put in. Energy stent. Yeah, I feel a little bit, not quite woozy, but like you can see me again. Like sort of the wobbliness of just having come off of a roller coaster or something. That doesn't quite fit either, because I don't feel like the adrenaline of that, but it's still like a whoa.
You know what? As you said, the roller coaster, I feel similar after these sessions every time, and what I'm feeling is energetically windblown.
Yeah, that resonates. Yeah, energetically windblown. Yeah.
I never thought of that before, but
Yeah.
hearing you say roller coaster, block that right into place. That's exactly what I feel like.
Yeah.
One of the things that happened in there was right when I put my hands on the first hand position, you said something about electricity.
Yeah, my scalp felt electrified. Yeah. I felt stuff flowing. It's hard to tell whether it was like out the top of my head or back or in or both. It was like a torus doing both. But it was like, yeah, like after you rub your head with a balloon. That's kind of how it felt.
Static?
Yeah, staticky.
Did anything come up for you throughout the session?
I want to answer that question, but I'm curious to hear like a check-in from you, if anything has shifted for you as the practitioner.
It felt like a really deep session for me. I was feeling the energy very strongly and felt really connected to you, although because one of the differences is between La Ho Chi and Reiki is that Reiki is more passive, so more things from you I can connect with energetically and pick up on. And with Laho Chi, I'm doing more active stuff, so I'm actually focusing on sending more things your way. So that kind of stuff doesn't happen as much. But there was this deep. Felt like I was like deeper in that connection with the energy flowing through me into you this time, which was really nice.
What are you sending? And I guess, and that question is um, like the sequence that you followed. Is it is it like, did you choose it, and is it like, it's like, oh, Brandon, his intention, so I'm going to do this sequence, or is it just like a fixed sequence that always gets done, or yeah, and then and in that, what are you sending?
It is the typical sequence of Laho Chi. We start at the top and we work our way down. So that is to keep moving the energy from the top down out the feet.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't do any variations. I'm staying to what was taught me as far as order of hand positions and everything.
Now that you say that, it did feel more like the energy was going in through the top of my head.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, like that my scalp, like you were doing brain surgery on me, like my scalp, the top of my scalp was missing. It's just like
And each hand position has its own purpose and intention. So I am checking in with the intentions of each hand position when I'm doing them, and then like I'm focusing on those, and also while doing that, sending white light of Laho Chi through, and the blue diamond energy of Mother Mary, and also violet flame from Saint Germain, all going into the process as well.
quite the cocktail.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
One thing I'm noticing is like a shift in yeah, I'm just feeling like less of the needing to get this interview right, or needing to show up in a certain way. That's kind of gone. That's cool. Not that I was buying into that earlier, but I was having to sort of fend it off a little bit, and now it's not present at all.
I know that is something that you work with a lot, is your this desire to get things right and explain right and said right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And you ask me, yeah, what came up? Well, I was experiencing a lot of, like, I could feel the different felt sense, or like body flavor of each of the hand positions. It was very different, like almost like a different pattern on a light bright or something. But a sensory light bright.
Oh my god, that's amazing visual.
I loved my light bright. I used to enjoy that toy.
I liked it.
And there were certain positions, especially when you went to my heart, the first heart position, there was some grief that came up, and yeah, this is what I wanted to share, was this like subtle intensity where feeling this grief, it felt subtle, and if I can feel like an energy trying to pull me away from it into my head to make sense of it, or just to like be like, oh, this is so small, we can just turn away from it. But I can feel that it was something really deep. Like, yeah, I think my tendency in the past was when I would feel something subtle. Yeah, this was coming up too. The old desire of like, okay, there's a feeling here. Let's like go into it. This okay. This needs to be intense. Like nothing's happening unless we find the intensity of it, and then that's when often I would like, yeah, go in, feel something that's not there. I feel something that's not actually mine, I think. And so, because I was so relaxed and open that I could feel, it's like, this is like another weird metaphors coming up, like walking on train tracks and then like feeling the train track to see if there's a train coming, feeling the vibration. And in order to do that, to really feel that, like it requires some intensity. I guess the intensity of the attention, or yeah, or like a satellite listening to deep space, and that, yeah, the satellite listening to deep space, and then the subtle thing that's showing up on the radar could be a fucking supernova, and a supernova is not subtle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the metaphor.
That's what I was.
Yeah,
that's what I was picking up when you were talking about the rail, and it's the intensity of the train. That's in the distance.
Yeah. Same thing. There you go. Yeah, same thing. And so my old tendency was to get distracted by something louder, like walking down the train tracks, trying to listen to the vibration of the train or feel the vibration of the train, and then like a gust of wind, a strong gust of wind distracting me, and then I'm just feeling the gust of wind that or rain starting to fall on me, that all I can feel now is the rain falling on me, and I'm drawn to the more intense, the more immediately intense feeling of the rain, like in a reactionary way that pulls me away from listening to the subtle intense thing. And in that reaction to the more immediate intense thing, it causes my body to clench, like the rain's falling on me and my body will automatically hunch over or brace or cover from the rain, and that clenching keeps takes me out of the relaxed state that's needed to be able to listen to the subtler intense thing. That's what I was trying to express before now it's coming through clearer.
Would you say that the intense thing that's subtly vibrating is something that's deeper in you than, say, the rain that's more immediately?
I think so. I think it depends what we mean by deeper, like deeper in that it's not on the surface, versus like something that might feel some intense experience I might have doesn't necessarily mean that it's not something that has depth, like that is inconsequential or something. It's just that now it's on the surface, right? So I think so like I'm working on the discernment between the intense experience that is actually the thing that's come to the surface, the subtle intense thing, that like the train is now actually passing, right, that I was trying to hear, versus some distraction in my space, like a crow cawing while I'm trying to listen to the train, and staying with the train and allowing that intensity to come through, versus getting pulled away to the crow or to the thunder or whatever.
Do you think that sometimes to stick with the rain and train analogy, that the rain is related to the train?
So related, it could be related in that the rain is, or the crow or whatever, is trying to protect me from feeling the deeper thing, like pulling me away from it. Yeah. Okay. So it could be related in that way.
Yeah.
Is that where you were going after?
The protection angle was not where I was going. But that really resonates when you say that. It was more just, is It was more of a generic. Is it connected in that those wounds are connected in some way? But when you say protective, like that locks it in of how related they are.
Right.
It's just like when you have a young child part that's scared, and then you have a teenage part that's trying to protect the child part. They have a lot of anger. The teenage part has anger, and that's how it protects the.
Yeah. So, but then I also think that there are the externals that are not as related in that way. I mean, still related in the everything's interconnected way, but like losing track of my personal thread because of something intense is happening in the world, like the Israel Hamas war that's happening right now. And it's really easy to, I mean, not to say that part of my wounding is not connected, like some of the pain that I might feel related to that is not connected to me, but if I'm like lost in the sorrow of just all the people who've lost their lives, which is a horrible tragedy, of course, but I feel like that could also be a way that could be bypassy, getting lost in
because there's a tendency to abandon yourself.
In that. Yeah.
What would you do? What would be a way to be with that collective pain and your pain and integrate them?
The answer that's coming up is that if I'm with my experience, whether it's my pain or with my joy, if my authentic experience is joy and I'm bypassing that because of some tragedy in the world, then I also can't actually be with the pain that's in the world, because I'm betraying my experience. So it's like, as long as I'm true to my experience, then organically I will be able to be with the pain of the world. Yeah, like I can't really say how that will, but it's just like then it will be being with that pain of the world without creating more pain in the bypassing of my experience and the parts that will feel pain because of that.
Ooh, I like that. I do like that.
Yeah, and also like it's the same thing. It's the I go towards the pain of the world and I clench. It's just like the codependent relationship that I've had with my mother. I go towards the pain of my mother and I clench, so then I can't actually feel what's going on with me. And then it's just like a reaction. It's just a reaction to that thing, and then it just keeps it's like another like jolt, like electric shock to my nervous system, that it keeps weakening my nervous system to actually be with anything that's true for me. Something like that.
I'm seeing something now that's the pattern. That's what you're used to doing. So that's kind of a safe space, is to actually go into that pain and clench.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So you're learning to not do that and stay with yourself, and that's the challenge, because that's not the safe space.
Yes.
And by safe I mean something that you're used to.
Yeah.
When really it is the safe space.
It is, yeah.
It's the true safe space.
Yeah.
But what you've learned is, what you've taught yourself is that this is normal.
Yeah, and then it's not safe to be listening to the rail, and then as a result of not listening to the rail, then I just get hit by the train suddenly.
Oh man. We don't want that.
That's what happens.
Yeah. Oh my god. And it just causes another intense experience.
Yeah, and that's kind of what happened. I know we didn't talk about this directly, but I think you overheard that after our experience at the Mexican restaurant. Mm-hmm. Was that last week or 2 weeks ago?
2 weeks
ago, yeah. That I had that while you were on the phone with Becca, I was going through an intense emotional process.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that kind of was like one of those things that hit me all at once. because I hadn't been actually like tracking the subtler things.
Oh, was that related to the thing that happened at the restaurant?
Yeah, I mean that was like a drop in the bucket, but it was like a whole constellation of things, including like that day also me seeing the pattern with my father that I was describing earlier that I think I talked about with you. Yeah. And then the call that I had with Michael and Sabro when I came home, and this feeling.
Friends of yours?
Yes, friends of mine, Michael and Saber, who I also collaborate with, and I got on a call with them, expecting we were going to be talking about this thing that I was expecting we're going to be collaborating on, but they had kind of skipped over me, and had already gone ahead with the thing, so it brought up, which ended up like making sense like as well, but it just brought up like pain around not belonging or being left out. Yeah, so that's what really set me off. But it wasn't just because of that, just because of what happened with Michael and Sabra. It was a buildup of like that I had been relying on them. This comes back to like my creative block, that I've had a pattern of continuing to rely on others for creative endeavors, co-creating with them, or like riding coattails in a way, instead of actually trusting or following my sourceship. So it was kind of like I was starting to go back into that pattern with them, and I caught it. Yeah.
But celebration that you're catching it earlier.
Yeah.
I had this same thing. I have this tendency to get caught up in fantasy relationships with women.
Right.
And sometimes in the past, when I first started therapy 10 years ago, it took me a year to get over one. And then I noticed a year ago, it took me a couple months. And then it just happened again recently. And my therapist pointed out to me, you processed it in a day. And I was like, that is pretty cool. He's like, can we celebrate that?
Yeah.
Yes, we can celebrate that.
Yeah, it is definitely something to celebrate. Because I can see it's part of what led me into the pattern that I got into with David. Was it's the same pattern, and I just wasn't aware of it then. So it was just great seeing the fruit of like learning from my experience with David this past year, and how it will just keep repeating until
David being another mutual friend of ours who we've collaborated with on healing events in the past.
Thanks for throwing that context in there.
No problem. I'm getting used to that. I'm trying to get used to that. Because so far I've been interviewing mostly friends.
Yeah.
So it's, we know what, you and I know what we're talking about.
Yeah. And that felt good this time to not try to contrive it. So it's like that I just talk to you as though I'm talking to you without the microphones. Yeah.
Yeah, I like
a lot
that.
better.
Yeah.
And then you can give the context.
Accepted. Mission accepted.
But yeah, that emotional process that night lasted for hours, and it was quite intense at first. But what was different is that I ended up staying, like I wrote it out through when it started to become subtler and subtler, and didn't like abandon it until it really felt complete, like kind of like not getting up from a meditation until the singing bowl. You totally don't hear the singing bowl at all anymore, like after the bell has been rung and it's like reverberating, and you wait until like you really can't hear it anymore. And maybe the if our ears are more sensitive, we'd still be able to hear it, and there's probably more. I mean, that's not so kind of like that.
You coming up with some great analogies today. That one felt good too. That one landed.
Cool.
Oh yeah, like really, it's almost like really teasing out. Teasing out doesn't even feel right, but you said it better. But being with all the resonance of stuff that's vibrating from whatever it was had come up.
Yeah.
And really letting it all move through.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I was creating conditions for myself so that I can remain relaxed. Like I took a bath, for example, and just kept it going with the bath and didn't get like caught. Like I can just I was really experiencing myself as being in the process, but also there was like the compassionate adult observer part that was like taking care of everything. Like making sure,
Yes.
Yeah. And like yeah, I could really feel I was in my heart so much, like feeling the shit and I kept returning to my heart and just like radiating love to myself. And I could catch myself when I would be about to go into like the pity, and I would start to clench like this. Oh, why is this? Oh, it's hard to explain that. I was noticing it here too on the table. This pull towards the like feeling that subtle grief, and then this pull to clench and go into go into pity, or go into, oh, there's so much here. Oh, like, oh, this is what, oh, this is intense thing under there. Oh, I can't. I don't know. I'm having trouble
like
expressing it. But
yeah, it's the woe is me thing.
Yeah.
Oh, there's so much. Why is this happening to me? Kind of thing. I've experienced that with myself.
Yeah.
Does that sound right?
Yeah. The why is this the why is this happening to me doesn't quite resonate with me.
That's a Joel thing.
Yeah. But what was the other one you said?
Woe is me.
Yeah, whoa.
There's just a lot here is more your thing. There's so much here.
Yeah, I mean it's also like I can see the way that I like thinking about the horrible shit that's going on in the world, and that difference of like feeling bad for the people who are suffering, but it's not really from my heart. It's just like this, like, oh, this is it's so hard to articulate.
This is one of those somatic things that is just wants to move and is not ready to give you the full story.
Yeah, I guess so.
To bring it back around to the beginning.
Yeah, it's just that it's a reaction. It's just like a reaction versus an openness. A reaction to the pain versus an openness to the pain.
One doesn't let it move, and one allows it to express and reintegrate into the system.
Yeah.
Well, this has been a wonderful conversation with you and time with you. I really enjoyed it.
I've also really enjoyed this. I feel like I'm learning a lot. Yeah, it's helping me with the learning that I'm going through right now. Like, this is what I'm talking about, is like I am learning about all of this right now. This is what I've been learning. This is where I am, and if I've spoken at all as though like I know, I do not know. I'm sharing what I'm experiencing somatically, but if I made any claims like that this is the way that it works, I really don't know.
Yeah, that's what this podcast is about to me. Is we're here to learn as we go.
Yeah, I this is the last thing I want to share. Just like I'm starting to feel, this is joy coming up, like relief, like a part that's like in me that's like, finally you're seeing it, finally you're getting it. And he's just like, oh, finally I can let go of this burden that I've been holding for you. Like this whole thing around the subtle intense, like I starting to feel like that's that's enough. Like the need for the very intense is losing its grip on me. And like that was great. The experience that I had there was like didn't need more than that, and it was like really interesting. It was really interesting to stay in it, and yeah, it's just like leaving me hungry for more experiences like that, or just like more experience. It's leaving me hungry for like whatever experience wants to come up, instead of this attachment to like needing the experience to go somewhere. Yeah, that feels really, really liberating.
Very happy that you were here with me, and that I got to sit with you and listen to where you are, and send some energy, love your way, and that you shared with me so much. I really appreciate that. And thank you all for joining us on A Little Room for Healing, and my invitation to you is that you make a little room for healing in your life, and who knows where it'll take you.